Well, hello, and welcome to What's Up with the Cummings. Yeah.
What's up with you?
Oh gosh, I think I'm growing. Something's happening
Every week.
every week, like weed.
For instance, this week I had the privilege of being able to massage you. Keep it G-rated here, folks, but I noticed a bit more, shall we say, muscle and
My back.
girth.
Yeah. Well, I say muscle has memory, and I've been bodybuilding since 1998 or something of that nature, and the Suma stuff that I'm taking is just remarkable. I'm up to 4 pills a day, two in the morning and two in the evening, and I'm seeing tremendous amount of strength gains, and I'm also seeing my body is filling in.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like your arms really are getting like,
Yeah, they are. They're getting girth there, and it's only been a few months since I've been on Suma, so I'm really excited to see what it does. Yeah. Because I don't ever want to go back to synthetics. I don't ever want to go back to injections. I mean, just the thought of it. I felt like I really got away with it for 15 years. And
Yeah.
I was really lucky that, I didn't get any massive health issues or anything like that. So this natural herb that's being compared to Deca Durabol or Debol, something in the herb use does that. It's called like the Russian secret or something like that. And I stumbled upon it looking for ginseng, which is also very good.
All right.
So I'm really excited to see what it does. I'm
I'm
seeing this.
excited to see what happens. I mean, I've never seen you this big
Yeah,
in all the time that we've been together.
yeah.
I know you used to be bigger,
Bigger, yeah. I was
but
bigger.
you've always had issue with
growing my
the body.
biceps, and I'm growing them better now. I think I'm using different techniques and stuff like that, and I'm seeing good results. We're really training hard. Like right now, as I'm sitting here, I'm sore as crazy because we're really stepping our games up.
And, you're really just pushing it with your weights and stuff. I mean, like stepping it up is one thing, but you're lifting quite heavy
Yeah.
often. Like the other day, you started to lift. What was it? You did 45 the week before.
Right.
Then you added the 15
On each side.
that I lifted.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and the
on top of
squats.
the 45. So that's a 45-pound bar, and then we have
90.
30 on my side, and then another 90.
It's 45 plates on each side, and 15 and 15 plus the 45-pound bar. And that's the most I've ever really lifted. So I'm excited. I want to end up lifting anywhere from 200 to 250 bench press. So, I'm working on it.
And it's impressive because you're doing it.
Yeah.
It's like just when I'm thinking, isn't it a little early to be doing that? And it's like you're pumping out 12 reps.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it's all up here and all here. And like I said, the Suma is really helping a lot. And now that we're taking weightlifting, and for now, yeah, it's back there. Pretty much, we stopped the keto thing. I mean, I don't know if we really got into it last week, but that stuff was really destroying me. It was just like not agreeing with me at all. So I decided to keep egg whites, whey protein, and cottage cheese, with the remainder being veggies and fruits.
It was really scary what was happening with us, as far as the keto diet goes. I mean, I know that we were really promoting it and pushing it early on, but we have a tendency of changing our opinions if things don't really work out, and with the keto diet, it just wasn't working out. This concept that bacon and bacon grease are the keys to health and happiness. Just, I don't know. It just didn't pan out. It just wasn't something that we could do. Yeah. You were getting sick.
Yeah, I was like nauseous, not having an appetite. I felt dizzy, and I'm doing the homework the past week or so, seeing a lot of people have been sent to the emergency room. Their sugar's number dropped dramatically. I mean, it does weird things to different people. So sticking with what I know works best, I'm giving myself 3 months of what I guess would be considered a vegetarian diet with what's it called, lactose something vegetarian, where you're allowed egg whites and whey protein. But once that's up, I want to go back to vegan. I mean, there's a lot of really good protein powders out there that are vegan, and chia seed and all sorts of different things like
And
that.
it seems like when we were vegan, we didn't run into any real physical problems, whatsoever. It was like we didn't have to count calories
Oh, I
as
know.
much. I mean, we weren't like totally freaking out about our carbs and
I never weighed
protein.
anything. I just kind of fixed everything together, put it, boom, served, and we ate and we ate and we ate and we ate well.
The only time that we actually did weigh stuff was when we had started to eat meat again back in 2015, like during the summer for like a month or so.
Yeah,
And we bought a scale
yeah.
and we would measure things with it. But after that,
Yeah, we didn't use it anymore.
we never used it.
I know for sure now, and it's taken me several tries to realize that my body does not do well at all with animal products. I can handle the whey protein a little bit, but I only do that it's almost like a transition back into my plant-based diet. And, I notice it's gassy. Whey protein powder can.
It's gassy, yeah.
Yeah, it does. But I'm figuring now we have to transition, because the problem with people is they go from one extreme to the other, and those extremes, without careful, like stopping a pill. You can't stop medication cold turkey because you're going to get ramification. The same thing goes when you're changing your diet, because if you move too fast, you can have problems.
And we did something really poor yesterday, last week. In the middle of our diet, we decided that we were going to pull, our fats out completely out of our diet.
We're pretty much, yeah.
So what we ended up doing was, instead of just going like slowly into carbs, we kind of overdid on the carbs. And in result of that, we both ended up gaining 6 pounds,
which
within a 7-day period.
I'm welcoming, because I'm what, 127 now.
I wasn't welcoming.
I know. And I want to get up to at least 155, 160 of solid muscle. Some of the way they put on was fat, obviously, from all that fat that we were ingesting. But, now it's just a matter of recalibrating and, enjoying our oatmeal and, fruits and salads again, and just keeping it that way. To show some of the pictures, we did our, what you call it, Valentine's event early. There was a dance called, what was it again?
It was the Chocolate Love Dance. There was some kind of a chocolate festival thing going on downtown with the stores and stuff, and you could buy tickets and sample different types of chocolate creations that they had and stuff like that. And the LGBT and other kind of combined.
Yeah, it was combined.
And they put together this dance at the Elks Lodge, our local Elks Lodge, and before that, we went out to eat at Vicky's Eatery.
Yes, and we had a bottle of champagne.
Had a bottle of champagne.
So great Valentine's, and then we had it was a Mediterranean salad, which is really good. The dressing was awesome. It was made out of sun-dried tomatoes. And we had, hummus and artichoke and mushrooms and pita. And then we had sweet basil and mozzarella pizza, which, finding out that pizza has so much calories.
That little wonderful treat right there was about 600 calories worth of
just the pizza alone.
Just pizza, and we're not talking about the fat that's included on the pizza.
Yeah,
and
we're having our champagne, which I found already odd that they don't have champagne glasses, but they're an Italian restaurant. What I'm assuming, I try to make an excuse for them, that Italians don't drink their wine out of wine glasses. They drink their wine out of this type of glass. But we had a great time. We danced the night away, and that was the actual lodge.
Yeah. And the dance floor was a nice wooden dance floor. They had a cool DJ playing all kinds of music from the 50s all through the 90s, I think it was, that they had.
It was awesome. And yeah, we really did have a good old time and enjoy ourselves. And that's our latest diet now. Back to our rice and corn and greens and baked tortillas and all that good stuff.
And we bought a Vegetti
Oh, yeah.
Pro, and
It's right
and
behind us back there.
right
With
back
all,
there, the infomercial table there.
I know.
Got our salad chopper,
Yeah.
and our Vegetti Pro is back there as well. And now you're making some really great smoothies with that little smoothie machine.
Yeah, with that whey protein, which is it's really good. It's
There's
like,
the whey protein. Well.
yeah,
It's
back
better.
there. It's what's it called? Body Fortress or something like that, and it's like really good, really tasty stuff.
It's really, really good. Teen says hi.
Hey, Teen, how you doing?
Love the new intro. Nice to see you, my friend.
Nice to see you, and
Nice
have
to
you.
see
Or
you
nice
too.
to see you because we're actually seeing you. We see your writing on our chat thing, but we always look forward to engaging with you, and thank you so much for always supporting and tuning in.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, and we bought this peanut butter that's not really it's made out of powder.
Yeah, let me get it.
Yeah, and it's
It's
really
so cool.
It's
It's powdered peanut butter.
yeah, and it actually 2 tablespoons only has 1.5 grams of fat compared to a 2 tablespoon in a
And it's powder.
yeah, and it's really
Powder
good.
goodness.
50 calories, 2 tablespoons, 1.5 grams of fat, and protein. It has 6 grams of protein. So adding that to the
Well, I'll put it away.
okay, adding that to the shake, or in the morning we make this really cool bread called sweet bread or something like that. It's all made out of it's made out of grains, and it's got protein, and it's really good. But changes the way that I know how to eat. Even before I became a vegan, I was a bodybuilder, and I ate like a bodybuilder would, and and it's returning to somewhat of my roots, except more vegan than anything else, or plant-based. And I feel great. I feel much better than I felt the past month.
Anything's better than what we were feeling.
That was pretty bad.
I mean, it's like when you glop on so much oil, it's got to go somewhere, and too much oil just oversaturates people. It's like what we need, maybe a little.
Yeah, the avocado, a little bit of nuts every now and then.
Do we need any cover, or do you?
Right now, I'm staying away because we have so much of it. But probably eventually, I'll probably add a little bit in, see how our bodies respond. So the key with body changes according to the cellular changes, according to age, according to what we do. So I can't go with black and white. Nutrition is never black and white, and that's where people make mistakes. They think, well, +2 + 2 = 4. Not in the body. The body is very unpredictable, and what could agree with you one day may not agree with you the next day. And you got to kind of like journal and test things to see what happens. You can't. There's no black and white in nutrition. There isn't. And you've got to listen to your body, and sometimes your body will accept something, and another time it will totally reject it. And it's just a matter of, testing the grounds and seeing how your body feels and reacts.
And it really is one of those things where it's subjective, really.
Very.
I mean, everybody is different.
Yeah.
And depending on where you're raised, even culturally, what you're used to eating, what culturally your ancestors were used to eating, right? I mean, I think that has something to play.
That and your body week to week changes. Your cells change and different interaction with chemicals, and certain foods you become allergic to from one day to the next. And if you're not properly, like today, you posted a stat or a link on your page regarding food combination. People don't realize that tomatoes and cucumbers don't go together. Your body cancels each enzymes out, and your body has a hard time digesting.
And I really didn't know this either, was the fact that eating yogurt with fruit is never a good thing. It's like, your fruit digests at a
faster rate. Fruit goes faster. Fruit digests in 20 minutes. because it's easy digestible. You add cheese or you add dairy or you add anything in there, what's going to happen? Everything is going to ferment. That's why people have gas. That's why they always
That's a
tell
good
you,
article, though. It
yeah.
was telling you the combinations of cucumbers and tomatoes, they don't go together.
Even fruits, not all fruit go together. There are sweet fruits, sour fruits, and semi-sweet fruits. Semi-sweet with sweet go okay, but if you got the more acidic fruit, they don't go with the sweet fruit because there's two different enzymes. Proteins, like people eat potato and meat, carbs and protein don't go together. You're like canceling it out, so people have problems digesting. If you don't digest, you're going to bloat, and your body's going to gain weight because you're not properly processing.
But what I was really kind of fascinated was the fact that a tomato and a cucumber, for instance, I mean, it's like those are two things that you would think would go well together in a salad,
right? But
that they don't.
And another thing that
tomatoes are fruit.
Yeah, that. And another thing they do in this country is that they bring you the salad first. That's backwards. You should eat your salad last because salads feed the good flora and allow you to digest. Americans eat their salad first. Europeans eat their salad last because that's to help your digestion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that they do in this country as far as food wise, by many things that are just messes up your digestion and gives you bad gut health and makes you sick.
Well, I'm glad that we're not sick anymore, and I'm glad that we're on the road to recovery because feeling just tired and exhausted was no fun.
My gallbladder wasn't happy with me. Your gallbladder is what's responsible for digesting your fat. It allows it to go to your liver, and your liver simulates it. Well, you get gallbladder stones, kidney stones, and all that stuff from the stuff you're putting in. And I was tired. I was sick, nauseous. I mean, I for sure know that this body right here is not meant to deal with animal products.
We actually tried to reach out, well, I did anyway, to and you did as well, but this guy who calls himself the low carbing or something. His name is Jimmy Moore. He even has a podcast that he does, and he's got like a book called Keto Clarity, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And another book that he's working on with another doctor who's pro keto.
Mm-hmm.
And I just asked him, and this was just a question that I had asked because I saw his Instagram page, and he says that he's healthy, but he looks anything but healthy. And that's the thing with most people on the ketogenic diet is that if they tell you they're healthy, a lot of times, you can't believe them, And he said, basically, I said, you're touting this as a great healthy diet, but you yourself, sir, are not very healthy looking at all. And he's like, well, you could compare my health markers with anyone up there, and if you want to, you can email me and I'll send them to you. It's like,
thing is, it's not to fat shame anyone, but when someone's overweight, that is already the body's way of showing disease. We're not meant to be overweight. If you're carrying more than 20 pounds of what you're supposed to have in your body, then there's a problem. There's like, it's like tumors are the way of the body trying to contain toxin. Mm-hmm. Being overweight is your body's way of like dealing with the excess toxin and fat that you're consuming, the excess amount of calories that you're not using. Because calories are meant to be expended and used, not stored and to the point where you got bulge. So when somebody tells me they're healthy and I look at them and they're overweight, I have to say, BS, you're not healthy. It's like the same thing. Somebody who's too skinny, that's not healthy either. You've got to have, a balance and a healthy balance.
And the real dangers are not in anything other than the fact that they're promoting this as a healthy option for people.
Right.
And they're touting it as a way that people can benefit and gain on the long term for their health and their overall wellness of being.
Right.
And the fact is that none of that is true, that it's not even working for the person who's promoting it. So if it's not working for that person, why are they promoting it?
It's all about money. It's the same concept with synthetic drugs, ranging from any type of synthetic medication, from synthetic hormone. They told it as something that's good for you, when in reality it isn't. I mean, it's great. I mean, don't you think I would love to continue to take testosterone? But I'm 53 years old. I know that putting that in my body is not going to end very well, especially, the more the receptors are saturated. So when they promote anything that's synthetic and when they promote anything, any type of food that doesn't really agree with the body, then you got to think twice. That's why, like, I think natural herbs, like your own natural herbs, that, you know, I find are working very well for you. And the suma that I'm taking, I'm like, I couldn't be happier.
I really like what Dr. McDougall says. He says, you know, being healthy is not about eventually being buried in a smaller casket. That's really not what it's about, because there's ways that you can lose weight. Someone said, Dr. Greger said, you could lose weight by taking cocaine.
Crack, chemotherapy. I mean, there's many ways that your bodies will lose weight, and losing weight is not just a marker of health. It's like getting healthy will allow your body to reach its optimal level of weight.
Right.
It's not some race to get on the scale and see the numbers drop. Because what are you dropping? Is it fat or is it muscle? Is your body becoming malnourished? We've got a really sick system here that creates a lot of eating disorders in people, and it's you become healthy so that you could develop a healthy weight.
Yeah, because if you don't, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
Definitely. And talking about shooting yourself in the foot in health, look at this flu epidemic that we're seeing just on the rise. And I think back, was it in
1918.
Yeah, that we had a really bad, and actually there's a little article that you shared on your timeline in Facebook that I kind of took a little
1918.
piece from it. That in 1919, when the flu killed 40 million people, there was this doctor that visited many farmers to see if he could help them combat the flu. Many other farmers and their families had contracted it, and many died.
The doctor came upon this one farmer, and to his surprise, everyone was very healthy. When the doctor asked what the farmer was doing that was different, his wife replied that she had placed an unpeeled onion in a dish in the rooms of the home, probably only 2 rooms back then. The doctor couldn't believe it and asked if he could have one of the onions and placed it under the microscope. She gave him one, and when he did this, he did find the flu virus in the onion. It obviously absorbed the bacteria, therefore keeping the family healthy.
And that I found very interesting because things like garlic and onion, really pretty much probably acts like a magnet in the body, and then you excrete things out. And we haven't gotten a cold or a flu or anything for a very long time. And one of the things that we eat a lot of is greens, garlic, and onions.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that we love garlic.
Yeah.
And we love onions. Yeah. I mean, it's a very delicious food. Yeah. Any food that has garlic in it is always a food that I love.
I mean, we do a lot of raw garlic and we do a lot of cooked garlic. I mean, it's just, I love it. And I think that's one of the reasons we have not gotten sick. I mean, we went on the journey and we're around a lot of sick people. And right now in town, there's been a lot of people with the flu. And, knock on wood, we haven't caught anything. So what's this with this pastor that's, pretty much blaming the victim and saying that, well, these girls that want to get hit on, then they shouldn't wear these sexy costumes.
It's so sad that, especially Christians have to be so, hypocritical. Because on the one side, they're saying this, and then on the other side, as I've stated in the past, over 75% of Christian men in churches across the United States today struggle with issues of pornography. So, I mean, here they are saying this, but, a lot of them have these same exact addictions, and they're just kind of excusing it, and blaming what? Blaming others?
Yeah, and that's why in today's not all that shocking episode of Christian pastors blaming women's own bodies for their sexual abuse, extremist Kevin Swanson has his moment. According to Swanson, Larry Nazar, who was convicted of sexually assaulting underage girls, did so because gymnastics contains a fair amount of immodesty. I guess those 8 year olds should just stop with their sexy shoulder bearing hair buns. And here's his whole infuriating quote.
Quote, there is an infatuation with the body and, of course, the sexual aspects of the body as well. Keep in mind, we're talking about young little girls who probably start at like the age of 5
Mhm.
to start, practicing gymnastics.
Right.
Some sports encourage modesty, revealing large portions of the body, and this happens in some sports. These are the risky sports. Here they are. What are the risky sports? Gymnastics. Gymnastics and swimming. These are the sports in which there is an added risk.
Let me pose this question: who creates the whole like costume and the whole thing, and
Why
putting these
do,
little
yeah,
girls, putting on this makeup? I mean, they look like little whores.
why do football cheerleaders look the way they do? Why do basketball spirit teams come out and throw themselves all over the crowd?
I'm sure these little girls are not asking to wear these outfits or to ask to be put all this makeup on. It's all created by the men that run these sports.
The male gaze.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So
How about this? The whole concept of women's bodybuilding back in the day. I
yeah,
mean, it was,
it was about building
right?
muscle. Then all of a sudden, it's like, oh no, men don't like to see women with big muscles. So now they kind of like fluffed they kicked out the big bodybuilding women who wanted to compete. That was all about. Now they have to wear these little heels, and it's all about
Skimpy
skimpy outfits
outfits.
for the male gaze again. Well, Swanson upholds the idea that men are just acting according to their masculine nature. It is female
Oh,
temptation
oh,
that's to blame, saying, do you really want your daughters involved in a sport that involves a fair amount of modesty in which red blooded American male coaches are interacting with these girls? According to Swanson, the bodies of underage girls being viewed in a strong athletic context is the problem. There is an infatuation with the body, he said, and of course, the sexual aspect of the body as well. Some sports encourage immodesty, revealing large portions of the body, and this happens in some sports. Never, ever do evangelicals blame a man in power? Of course not.
it's ridiculous though because I think that the sport of male gymnastics
Mm-hmm.
could be really helped by the guys not having to wear those goofy looking leotards that they wear. If they were just able to showcase their well sculpted upper frames,
Yeah,
it would be a boon for ratings because people like to see beautiful bodies.
yeah, but
So
it's not the
of course,
same. What is it? What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
no,
Not in the same case at all.
no, they have to cover up,
Yeah,
the guys, and then I mean, think about it. You watch not gymnastics, beach volleyball. Remember, we went to Fort Lauderdale, a tournament about a year ago in which they were competing and stuff like that.
mm,
And what did the guys wear? They wore these just regular kind of knee length shorts and tank tops,
yeah. And the girls
and
were
the
in
girls wore
bikinis.
bikinis.
Yeah, always because
It's like it's the male gaze.
yeah,
It's like
and everything's
they know
controlled.
that's what sells.
Yeah, and everything's controlled by that male gaze, which is pretty sad. So
So big thumb down.
yeah, it comes down. We one of the things we're going to be doing on the show is just putting ideas because since we change our minds a lot about different things, and we're not trying to change anybody's mind or trying to tell people how to eat or what to wear or how to be or anything of that nature. We're going to just share a bunch of health articles and share our opinions on it, and you guys decide on what you want to do or not to do. We want to be a hub of information and not try to sway anybody either way. We know what we want to do, and we know we've changed the way we think about many things, and it's what's that saying? The only constant in life is change, and we make no qualms about it, no excuses, because that's healthy, in my opinion. So this low carb craze, which people think is really healthy, we don't think is very healthy at all. My body requires carbs.
Well, I mean, from the experience of the past month, it has solidified my understanding of what my body actually thrives on and actually needs. I mean, I'm not going to speak for anyone else because I can't. I'm just one individual, as are you.
Right.
But as a couple, we've come to understand that animal protein for us is not a good thing whatsoever. And, this foray into eating animal products has solidified my understanding that I need carbs. That my body, the reason that, glucose is so important in the body is because that's what we run on. That's what our brain, that's what our bodies default to at the very beginning. That's our go-to, I mean, that, I guess, maybe for the Inuits works, but,
different folks for different folks. Maybe some people run on diesel, other people run on gas. We run on carbohydrates, and that's how I feel the best. I don't do well at all on low carbs. I mean, I require lots of carbs and lots of healthy carbs. We're not talking about processed foods or sugar, in powdered form, or we're talking about fruits, oatmeal, brown rice, sweet potatoes, grain pastas at times. We're not even going to do the pastas. We actually, when we bought the little sterilizer, we make great spaghetti with zucchini or even squash. That it makes it taste just, to me, it tastes even better. Easier to digest too.
And you don't have all the carbs that come with it.
Exactly. And that's so that way you leave room for other carbs. Like in the morning, I big old heaping of oatmeal. That right after the workout.
With the protein powder.
With the protein powder, yeah, very good stuff. And bananas and apples and eggs. All good. So talk about the hidden dangers of low carb diet.
Here are the low carbohydrate risks in 10 steps. 1. Your body stores carbohydrate mostly in your liver and muscles in the form of glycogen. Depending on your size, you can store roughly in the range of 1,500 to 2,000 calories of storage carbohydrate, although that number is fairly variable based on your fitness and size.
The more you work out, the more you create more glycogen storage. If you're sedentary and don't really exercise much, which I don't, the person who wrote this does not encourage not to be sedentary, this amount of storage carbohydrates is more than sufficient to get you through a typical day. Really, your body only needs a maximum of 600 calories of carbs to survive each day if you're sedentary. And that carbohydrates can be derived from diet or from your own stored glycogen.
3, but if you're active and at the same time consuming a low carbohydrate diet, you can easily burn through your liver and muscle glycogen stores in anywhere from 2 days to a couple of weeks. The nice part about this is if you're trying to lose weight is that since glycogen carries up to 4 times its weight in water, a low carbohydrate diet can quickly shed 5 to 10 pounds or more, which seems quite satisfactory. But the problem is, most of what you've lost is A, energy to sustain intense physical activity, and B, water.
And that's why this low carb, high fat diet wasn't working, because we train on an empty stomach very hard 5 days a week. I think we're probably going to up it to 6. We needed our carbs.
Yeah.
Our body was just like, it was like
it's that
no
quick
energy.
Burst of energy.
No energy whatsoever. So in the morning when we train, we're really utilizing, the stored glycogen. And when you get on the scale and somebody goes on a keto diet and they lose anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 pounds in a month, and they're going, yippee, all that is water weight and glycogen loss. They haven't really budged any fat.
Right.
So number 4. So now you have very little storage carbohydrate and a potentially dehydrated. That's why I felt thirsty all the time. If you're an athlete or a physically active individual, this means that you're limited to utilizing fat as fuel for energy. Fat, through a process called beta oxidation, can provide tens of thousands of calories of ready utilizable fuel, but the problem is that it burns far more slowly than carbohydrates. It's like a turtle. You're like, come
So we
on.
were touting it as jet fuel, but
It's
honestly,
not
it doesn't burn like jet fuel. Jet fuel burns.
like that. You know what I've noticed in all these like keto and all these fad diets, they promote and they lie out of their teeth about something, and it's like there is no science proving all
I
that.
think a lot of times, though, what they're doing is they're trying to sell a book.
Hmm.
They're trying to market. I mean, there are so many YouTubers that are onto this keto thing and keto bodybuilders and things like that are really working for these protein powder companies, for these, muscle supplement companies.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like they have all these ulterior motives for
Right.
doing what they're doing, and no real scientific basis or fact.
Right.
And the doctors that you look to for this,
Yeah.
for information are not healthy themselves.
No.
I mean, Dr. Nally, Adam A. Nally, who's
Hmm.
called Doc Muscles, he's waiting in Applebee's to get onion rings,
Yeah.
because he thinks that that's some kind of good type of
Yeah.
food. And then there's another guy who's going to do an interview, and he's eating Holiday Inn Express's, quick out the door,
Breakfast.
flip it over eggs, fake eggs and fake meat and fake this and that. And if it's real, it's bad for you. But imagine how bad it is, even,
I
being
know.
that way.
I know. It's crazy.
So number 5, this means that if you're on a strict low carbohydrate diet, you can say goodbye to intense weight training, track intervals, or just about any activity that would be considered tempo, threshold, or intervals. And this is the stuff that adds lean muscle to your body, boosts your metabolism, and gets you fit fast compared to a slow and sluggish slog in your fat burning zone, quote unquote. This is not negotiable by your body. It is simple physiology. When you deplete muscle glycogen, there is a directly proportional increase in muscle fatigue, as we were experiencing,
Yes.
and also an increase in muscle catabolism. Basically, it sounds like something's eating itself.
Yeah.
Direct metabolism of your body's own muscle protein, or conversion of that protein into glucose via gluconeogenesis. Many people on a low carbohydrate diet simply stop exercising because it can suck so much.
I can imagine. I mean, no energy. It's just not fun. Number 6, as you lose muscle mass, your already handicapped metabolism drops even more, as we experience. I will acknowledge that muscle fibers don't burn as many calories or boost your metabolism as much as we all like to think, but this is still an important consideration for those trying to maintain lean muscle mass or tone.
7, for active people, this trouble may be all, quote, in vain, unquote, since physically active individuals and athletes are far more sensitive to insulin and less susceptible to blood sugar fluctuations. Any attempt to eat low carbohydrate in conjunction with exercise for the pure purpose of controlling blood sugar levels, quote unquote, could be a mostly unnecessary endeavor anyway.
And it's people who have metabolic disorder, people that are fat, people that have real problem with their insulin. When you're an athlete and you're working out and you finally, it's like where we were at. The way I got us, first by being raw vegan, then training the way we were training, walking 13 miles a day and doing the things that we were doing, our bodies were running optimally.
And they needed that type of glycogen
Yeah.
stores,
That's all we could
because
eat.
we were like walking, and you need that quick boost. It's like a sprinter. They need those quick flexing. What is it? What do they call them? Those muscles that are the ones
Fast twitch.
the fast twitch
Yeah.
muscle. I mean, with eating just fat for fuel, there's no ability to fast twitch your
Yeah,
muscle.
our bodies are going, what the, now, like I told you in the beginning, we now need to heal our body because we took our body to a place, a danger zone, and the body's going, why? you didn't need to do this, but
Yeah.
number 8, low carbohydrate diets, if implemented improperly, result in low fiber intake from a sharp reduction in plant-based food consumption, which can increase risk of digestive cancers and cardiovascular disease, and also leads to constipation and bowel issues, which I was having.
Me too.
Big time. In addition, a drop in fruit, vegetables, legumes, and grain consumption can result in an inadequate phytonutrient, antioxidant, vitamin C, and potassium intake. Many, but not all, low carbohydrate diets have these problems.
9. Typical low carbohydrate meal replacement bars and shakes, ice creams or ice cream sandwiches, and other low carb or sugar free snacks often contain potentially unhealthy ingredients like maltitol and are chock full of preservatives and highly processed ingredients. If your low carbohydrate diet involves boxed, wrapped, and packaged food, it probably falls into this category. And one thing about pork rinds that I found out was that not only are they hiding all this GMO stuff in it, but I mean, they're hiding monosodium glutamate in it.
Oh,
They're hiding all kinds of stuff, and it's being processed in a plant that, I mean, makes candy,
hey,
makes Doritos.
if your minerals are being whacked out by the way that you're eating, your potassium levels dropping, you're cramping, that's another thing that's happening to me, and I've been reading a lot of people that are cramping like crazy, then there's something wrong with that diet, that you constantly have to be adding all these minerals and additives to try to keep yourself hydrated, because your body's just losing all these minerals from the excessive amount of fat and excessive amount of protein, and then the lack of carbohydrates. It makes absolutely no sense. Number 10, there can be long-term health issues as your body's chronically carbohydrate depleted over extended periods of time. Your liver is exposed to extra stress as it forces to assist with manufacturing glucose from fats and proteins. The liver has to find a way to turn these fats and this protein into carbs. Potentially toxic amount of ammonia, that's part of that ketoacidosis, are produced as proteins are converted into glucose. Your body has more difficult time producing mucus, and the immune system becomes impaired at risk of pathogenic infection increases. And your body loses the ability to produce compounds called glycoproteins, which are vital to cellular function. I mean, people don't realize they go on this keto. We were guilty of it, thinking, oh, utopia, this is great, blah, blah. But no one reads the fine print, and we were guilty of that. And, I could kick myself in the ass because I should know better. I, out of all people, who's been a certified nutrition consultant, have owned a gym for 11 years, have trained people from all walks of life. But I fell into the romanticizing of like, oh, I could eat this, that, and the other stuff that I never really liked anyway. But it's just the thought of like, well, I've depleted myself from eating all this stuff before. Well, maybe I could like it.
I don't really know if it was anything like just that. I think it was the fact that we were trying to find an answer to the candida that I was really dealing with, and the problems that I was having from my body. And I, went into detail about why that was.
Yeah.
But I mean, we climbed up into the wrong thing.
So I guess I was trying to convince myself, as I've been doing since I've been with you, about many things, just because I love you, and it's like, okay, this is the path, so I'm going to convince myself this is the right path, and threw all reason out the window. Constipation in the ketogenic diet, and trust me, that's no fun, especially for a person who going to the bathroom was like 3 times every morning. That was part of my detoxing ritual every single morning, to like not pooping for 3 or 4 days, and then when I did, it was like I felt like I was getting a firstborn in the bathroom, and it's like no fun. So,
and I just stopped going.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like, and then you read about stuff and you watch videos, Dr. Berg and Dr. Westman and doctors that promote the ketogenic lifestyle, and they say that it's perfectly normal, that it's okay, that you don't have to relieve yourself because the body is utilizing that wonderful source of animal protein, and there's not much to poop out.
In the meantime, time, your body, my body was like shutting down. I did not want any food. Food was not appealing at all to me. I was nearly on the verge of dying. It's like when your body's about to shut down and it stops wanting to eat. That's what it felt like for me. The
What
last
happens
straw,
though when you get sick?
you don't want to eat.
You don't want to eat.
My last straw for me was Super Bowl Sunday. That was like when I looked at the food that I had in front of me, and I was like, no,
This isn't
no,
right.
I refuse. If this is what eating is, then I will not eat.
Right.
Because
It kind of reminds you of like when you were little and they were forcing you to eat that dried up meat, and you were like
feeding it to the dog. I was like, I would
under
chew
the
it
table.
like that and give it to the dog. Because I knew even back then that wasn't right.
And our moms would make this deep down round cube steak that was as dry
And hard.
and hard. I mean, after it sat for like maybe a couple minutes, at first hot, it was palatable, but then after,
Yeah.
it was like, oh my gosh, it just turned into a brick.
Yeah, no. I just thinking about it makes me nauseous. Some people experience constipation on low carbohydrates and ketogenic diet and worry that it's due to lack of fiber. If you're one of them, take heart. Fiber is not the answer, so they say. What is? Read on. Now, mind you, this is an article written by a ketogenic promoter. I mean, this is as far as these people go. And again, you be the judge.
The authors of Keto Clarity, Jimmy Moore, who by the way blocked me on Instagram for calling him out on, saying that he's not healthy, although he's promoting this as a healthy lifestyle, and Dr. Eric Westman acknowledge that some people develop constipation on ketogenic diets and offer some recommendations about how to address the problem, including drinking enough water, increasing non-starchy, fibrous vegetable intake, and using sugar-free candy containing sugar alcohols as a mild laxative.
I mean, really, you have to end up, we drink a lot of water and we did increase the vegetables, not because we eat vegetables all the time. That wasn't helping. And heck, if I'm going to chew sugar-free gum that contains these like aspartame and stuff, I mean, it's like the Atkins aisle. Everything is sugar-free, but it's got all these aspartame and all these artificial sweeteners. However, if you have tried the idea,
These ideas.
I do agree that these approaches may certainly be helpful for some, he says. However, if you have tried these ideas and they haven't worked for you, or if you have trouble with constipation no matter what kind of diet you eat, I would like to offer some insights that I hope you will find useful. Most people believe that constipation is caused by lack of fiber in the diet, but this is actually not so. I call BS. My opinion, based on clinical and personal experience, common sense, and lots of reading of scientific literature, is this. I added the oatmeal, the rice, the fruit, and I'm going to the bathroom back again 2 to 3 times in the morning. So, to you, Doc.
Constipation, he says, is usually caused by something you are eating, not by something you're not eating. Lack of fiber does not cause constipation. In fact, fiber can actually cause constipation. Oh, yeah. Okay. Take a look at this 2012 study that proves it. This study has confirmed that the previously strongly held belief that the application of dietary fiber to help constipation is but a myth. Our study shows a very strong correlation between improving constipation and its associated symptoms after stopping dietary fiber intake.
One of the things people don't realize, for every gram of fiber that you eat, you need to drink water. You just can't like stuff your body full of fiber and it just like bloats and almost like swells up in your intestine. Water is what's going to make it move along. That's why when you're having veggies and you're having fruit, the fruit has fiber in it. The water and the fruit and the fiber is what, creates a very healthy flow. These doctors are mongoloid. Plenty of people and animals have eaten mostly wheat, all meat diets, and do not suffer from constipation. You can't compare a carnivorous animal with a human being. And plenty of people eat high fiber diet and even vegan diets and suffer from constipation. I've yet to find a vegan that suffers from constipation.
No, they usually don't have that problem.
No.
If you're lucky enough to not have constipation on a regular diet and then develop constipation on a ketogenic diet, not if, but when. It is almost certainly not because you're eating more meat and less fiber. Really,
Yeah.
I beg to differ. Ask any gastroenterologist or physiologist, and they will tell you this: meat and fat are easily and completely digestible. Fiber, on the other hand, is partially or wholly indigestible by definition. For more information about the nature of fiber, see my article entitled Pulp Fiction.
Unless you have certain uncommon digestive diseases such as pancreatic insufficiency or have had certain surgical procedures that interfere with normal digestion, such as gastric bypass surgery, another winner, you simply will not find undigested meat or fat existing in your body, whereas everyone is guaranteed to find plenty of undigested vegetable matter, right?
Well, it's one thing to have undigestible vegetable matter. It's another thing to have undigestible meat in
Putrefied
in your intestine collecting and not being able to get out. I mean,
and
it's like
causing all sorts of issues.
putrefying in the gut flora, and causing problems, and possibly polyps developing because of the bacteria that collects inside of the intestine from the food not being able to be digested and let out. If you experience constipation on a ketogenic diet, it is not because you're eating less fiber. They say it is most likely because you've started eating something that you were not eating before, or a larger amount of something you didn't eat much of before.
Yeah, like me.
That is hard for you to digest. My dad, he suffered for a long time before he got cancer with digesting the meat. And I remember that he would actually concern us at the table, say he was eating a steak at Pinnacle Peak, and it went down his throat and it got stuck there. And he would be like, holding, like, it's okay, I'm not going to die, and it's like, eventually he had to get one of those, what are they? Those bubble things, some kind of a thing to
A
put.
bypass.
No, it wasn't a bypass. There was like a balloon
Ball, yeah.
that they put in there to get that part of the throat to allow. I mean, it was
like that's
normal. Fruit and vegetables don't do that.
No, they go down real nice.
If meat does that, then it's really your body telling you, stop it, don't. That's what our bodies were telling us.
Oh my God, that's what my body was telling me when I was doing this.
Don't.
So in order to eat a ketogenic diet, which is a high-fat, limited protein, ultra-low-carb diet, most people find themselves turning to high amounts of foods that are notoriously difficult to digest, including nuts, low-starch vegetables such as crucifers, and full-fat dairy products. But what is part of this keto diet is the nuts, the cruciferous, and the dairy products. I mean,
it's like they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot because this is what recommended on that.
I want to point out, we do cottage cheese and we're doing the whey protein, which is dairy, and I'm pooping just fine.
Yeah.
It's when I got the meat out of my system,
Well, also when you get the oil out of it.
That too. Oh my God.
I think the oil causes more, like blockage.
We tried the meat thing when we lived in the villa. We were also constipated.
But I think we got to another level of constipation by adding, making our diet 75% oils and fats.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally tell you can do the things that you thought were impossible. You can buy yourself the cheap fatty cuts of meat.
Yeah.
You can eat all the junk meat that you want to, and it's good for you. It's good for you. One more consideration. Sometimes food sensitivities, they say, can cause constipation in certain individuals. So if you have eliminated the 5 most common constipation culprits and still have difficulty, which means listen to your body, don't put junk in it, that's my advice. Consider that you may be uniquely sensitive. Oh, it's just you. To something that most people have no trouble digesting. And what did that lady tell me on Instagram yesterday? She goes, well, it may not have worked for you. Examples that come to my mind are eggs and beef. Eggs are among the top 9 common food sensitivity culprits. I think there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because people are dairy lactose intolerant and can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And beef can cause trouble for some people who don't do well with dairy products because of a cross-reactivity related to cow protein,
Oh,
lactose.
yeah.
These are unusual experiences, but worth mentioning. These same people are the ones who advocate taking bouillon cubes. I mean, if you look at the ingredients in bouillon, one of the main ones is monosodium glutamate, and that's an enemy if you're on a ketogenic diet or on any other diet out there.
So they're talking about beef here as well, not just lactose. And beef can cause trouble for some people who do not do well with dairy products. So I think bottom line is majority of people don't digest animal products and they're just shoving it down their mouth because they think that's what they got to eat. Many plant foods, especially stem, seed, nuts, grains, and legumes, are challenging to digest. We've been eating it for the past week, and my body's happy again.
There's no challenge.
Yeah, which is why herbivores, animals who eat an all-plant diet, have special digestive strategies, such as chewing all day long and carrying around extra stomachs. Okay. Fruit, however, is easy to digest. So easy, in fact, that eating too much of it can cause opposite of constipation. To learn about the fascinating reason why foods digest so rapidly and how sugar alcohols can be used as laxatives, click here. That's what they have in the article. Ketogenic diets do tend to contain little of any fruit because most fruit is too high in carbohydrates.
Too good for you.
Yeah.
However, there are some low carbohydrate foods that we think of as vegetables. Foods like cucumbers, tomatoes, which are not supposed to be eaten together,
yeah.
squashes, avocado, okra, and olives that you can enjoy on your low carbohydrate diet, so long as you count their carbohydrate content and don't overdo it. Who in the right mind is going to tell someone to not overdo it on vegetables?
Yeah.
I mean, if anything in life you want to overdo, it'd probably be vegetables.
Yeah.
That will aid speedy digestion. Just remember, any vegetable that contains seeds is actually a fruit in disguise and should be easy to digest if right.
So if you experience constipation on your ketogenic diet, don't blame the meat, fat, or lack of fiber. Whoever wrote this should wear a dunce hat. Take a look at what you're eating and see if you can identify your culprit. With a little tweaking, you should be halfway on your way.
You shouldn't have to tweak your body to adjust to a diet. I mean, if it's naturally meant to go into your body, it will naturally feel right. You shouldn't get the flu if you're going to eat a diet that's meant for you to eat. And that's what happens in the ketogenic diet.
Yeah, they call it ketogenic flu.
Right.
Yeah. So, leaky gut guide. A lot of people experience this. And sometimes I kind of wonder, they come up with these things, and I'm sure that there is some sort of truth to it. But I think people become a little bit too obsessed with it. And that happened to us with the whole candida, the leaky gut. And that's how we encountered the keto. And we thought, well, gosh, we can't be a vegan if we're doing this. So we might as well start the other. And that's how we fell into the rabbit hole,
Someone writes, all the people who have any disabilities or diseases like multiple sclerosis or cancer is just the karma from the universe and karma from God coming back to them from their past life or parents. So they're saying that I hope and pray to God and Jesus Christ that they get rid of all the people who have any disabilities or diseases like MS or cancer because they're malfunctions and defects of the human race. Wow.
And this is a Christian.
That's a bit extreme.
Well, isn't that what we kind of talked about in the beginning of the show? The extreme, pastors are blamed the little girls for wearing and that's the kind of mentality.
I just want to say, be that I and you. We do not agree with that type of synopsis at all. It's like, well, they get what they deserve, and they get what's coming to them.
This is the kind of behavior that these cultists because that's what I believe that religious people are. And back in the day, it was worse. If a child was born with a defect, they would kill it. You know, they would have everybody who's in the LGBT get murdered and killed because they see people like us as defective.
If a female was born, they would kill it.
Yeah, because
You
they're
know,
boys. Yeah,
I mean, these are regimes that are still alive. Like in China, the communist government would put to death the girls if there was too many children born, and if it was a girl, they would kill it. It's like the reason you have a disability or disease is because of the karma from the universe. You can't hide because it will eventually find you.
I think the reason people get diseases, okay, in the majority of cases is because they're eating an improper diet and because they're walking around life with stress and guilt raised as probably you maybe have been raised to believe. And I really feel saddened for you that you live your life in such existence or a way of thinking, or you're just a troll. And any minute now, we're probably going to boot you out of the conversation, but can't take somebody like you serious, really. Anyway, we're going to talk about the leaky gut guide. What is leaky gut? Okay.
I don't know. I was fretting over it though this past, January.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh my gosh, I have candida and I have leaky gut.
And there's a possibility, but all that is, and the bottom line is gut flora imbalanced. Bottom line. So there are certain foods that we have to eat to keep the good guys in check.
Yeah.
And it's not really that difficult. It's just staying away from processed foods, putting the right type of combination of food so that the enzymes can properly work together. So leaky gut is another term of intestinal permeability. Leaky gut is a physiological fact, not some mythical alternative health concept. Look up intestinal permeability in PubMed. You'll find almost 2,000 studies with human subjects. Here is leaky gut described in a nutshell. The small intestine, where nutrients are absorbed, is supposed to have tight cell conjunction to separate the chyme food turns into chyme in the stomach from the bloodstream. But a chain of factors causes these tight junctions to degrade. Once the connection between intestinal cells are weakened, undigested proteins and bacterial toxins escape into the bloodstream. This leads to a heightened state of inflammation, which is not good. I'm just going to
how does leaky gut? If you have a leaky gut, no, you're not lucky. Leaky gut develop. Chronic stress and gut flora imbalance lay the foundation for leaky gut. Environmental toxins such as fluoride and certain medications, genetic susceptibility and/or infections such as H. pylori can also trigger leaky gut. First, stress turns off digestion. In a disastrous cascade, it first diminishes our production of stomach acid. In turn, a state of chlorhydria, low stomach acid, leads to inadequate enzyme production, bile release, and compromised movement of food through the digestive tract.
And that's, most people don't realize, when you're eating, most people eat on the go, or they're having an argument, that's a kiss of death. Because you're stopping your digestion, you're stopping the production of the enzymes. And most people in this day and age don't sit down to have a proper meal. It's like
they're eating in their car,
or they're working, or on their phone. Eating is meant to be a very spiritual. You're nourishing your body.
You're connecting with yourself.
Exactly. All these factors wreak havoc on balance of beneficial bacteria in the gut due to low stomach acid bile enzymes. Protein, carbs, fats are not properly digested. This deteriorates the good gut bacteria. Further, the stagnation of food due to slowed peristalsis fosters pathogenic bacteria to overgrow. With the degradation of protective gut flora, the vulnerable intestinal lining is under assault. Because the guys that are the frontline guys have been diminished. So now shit's going to get into your bloodstream, and it's going to wreak havoc.
Dr. Natasha, author of the landmark book, The Gut and Psychology Syndrome, offers a helpful analogy. She compares the bacterial layer that protects the lining of the gastrointestinal tract to turf covering the soil below. Once the bacterial turf gets eroded, the intestinal soil will start to be eroded, the phenomena of leaky gut. But if the turf is healthy and flourished and nourished, it protects the soil from erosion.
How does leaky gut lead to autoimmune disease? Well, Sarah Ballantyne, PhD, in her book, The Paleo Approach states, autoimmune disease is caused when the immune system loses the ability to distinguish self from a foreign invader. On top of all this, the immune system must also be stimulated to attack. How this actually happens is complex and involves the interaction of three major factors. One, genetic susceptibility, environmental triggers, infections, or bad luck, diet, and lifestyle.
You may have heard that leaky gut and autoimmunity are linked. Here is the connection. Chronic and flora imbalance, along with genetic and environmental factors, create a viscous cycle of poor digestion, protective gut flora, along with improperly digested food, leave the intestinal lining vulnerable to properly digested carbohydrates also wear down the intestinal lining. These factors deteriorate the tight junctions of the small intestine lining, creating leaky gut.
So it has nothing to do, well, has nothing to do with that. It's just the improper way of digesting if a person has chronic stress. Every time you've gotten a rash or the ringworm or anything, it's been due to stress. So your body's not digesting the food and stuff is going to your bloodstream, and in your bloodstream it goes out into your skin. Think about it. It's always been that kind of cycle. So people are blaming the food that they're eating. The carbohydrates are bad and this, that, and the other, and it's not that at all. It's the way people handle stress. Digestion is important, and if a person is not, at ease, they will have a disease. It's very simple. Only amino acids, not proteins from our food, are supposed to be in the bloodstream. However, the compromised gut lining allows undigested proteins as well as harmful bacteria to escape into the bloodstream and then goes into our skin. The body revs up the immune system to create antibodies against these proteins, which are seen as foreign invaders. Antibodies against food proteins triggers off-control antibody production. Autoantibodies attack our own body tissue. Although the body has a backup system in place to prevent overproduction of autoantibodies, the system fails in the case of autoimmunity.
So there's 6 steps to heal leaky gut. 1, follow a leaky gut dietary protocol. Of course, we don't advocate this. This is just another article that we found when we were on the ketogenic.
And I have to let people, make their own mind what they think they should do or not do.
Certain foods universally exacerbate leaky gut. Leaky gut protocols include the GAPS diet and the autoimmune paleo protocol. Remove specific types of carbohydrates that can prevent gut regeneration and feed the pathogenic bacteria. They also provide nutrients from meats, vegetables, and bone broth that are crucial for that gut repair.
Note that these are temporary healing diets. In all these symptoms, more foods are supposed to be reintroduced after regeneration period. It's about discovering the optimal diet that is unique to you. This person recommends the following resource of Leaky Gut Dietary Protocol, The Gut and Psychology Syndrome by Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, The Paleo Approach by Sarah Ballantyne, and cookbooks, The Paleo Approach Cookbook, The Autoimmune Paleo, and Nurture Paleo Healing Cookbook. I hear the word paleo, and all that I can remember is a person that I knew in town who was on the paleo diet and they were getting ready to move to Costa Rica. They got a stroke and had to return from Costa Rica back to Silver City. And I remember that they were all into that paleo stuff, and they stroked out,
Well, I also had an interaction with somebody on Facebook the other day, and they were talking about how they were benefiting from being low carb since 2011, apparently. And one of the things that really struck me was how they said, been low carb since um, 2011 and keto for a year, diagnosed in the ER 3 weeks ago with sciatica, had to be taken back to different hospital, and it turns out to be colon cancer. So the sooner this book comes out, the better. This book that is another book that Jimmy Moore is putting out. Maria's other books, she's the person that's going to have some recipes in the book, are great. Have and cook with them all. Keto Clarity is the most important book I've ever read and use almost every day. Bravo to hospital. Their nutrition department works with me every day. I have food allergies on top of everything too. And I responded and said, how can you say that low carb, high fat works? You were in the ER 3 weeks ago. Please do something different. It is obviously hurting you. His book is not going to help you. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, people, if it doesn't work, don't do the same thing if it makes you sick. Number 2, remove food stressors. Dietary choices contribute to the formation of leaky gut, and it also perpetuates it. When we have an antibody response to consuming a food, it is a stress response. When we create a stress response, we turn down or off our body's healing processes.
Unfortunately, even a nutrient-dense real food diet can perpetuate the cycle of stress. With intestinal permeability, your body can potentially create antibodies against any food you consume. Like I mentioned earlier, it's like any minute now your body could actually become allergic to what you're eating, especially foods you eat on an extremely frequent basis. This is how food allergies and food sensitivity develop.
A rotation, case in point, a few months ago, the article writer says, I became sensitive to coconut. I was eating some form of coconut, oil, butter, or flour every day. So I needed to take out coconut products for 3 months to desensitize my body. A rotation diet plays a key role in healing leaky gut. With a compromised intestinal lining, eating certain foods every day often leads to a food sensitivity. I work with an experienced kinesiologist muscle testing to determine which foods stress my body. You can also use this at-home food sensitivity test to determine food stressors.
I think what happens is when you improperly combine foods and you don't get to digest that food correctly and the food goes into the bloodstream from the leaky gut, that's how you become allergic. But I think if you properly combine the foods,
right,
you're not going to get any type of food allergies in that sense, because people in older times didn't get to have a variety of food.
No.
They would eat the same thing because that's all they had. So I think it's all these, artificial stuff that preservatives and things of that nature that actually go into the bloodstream and trigger some sort of inflammation and food allergy. Support balanced blood sugar.
Someone writes or tried to call us. They said, hi, I love the show. You guys are an inspiration.
Well, thank you. We don't know if that's...
Yeah. We don't know. But thank you.
Thank you.
Sincere, thank you very much.
Support balanced blood sugar. To heal leaky gut, you must foster the regeneration of the intestinal tissue. And without balanced blood sugar, the gut cannot regenerate. When we have chronically elevated blood sugars level, hypoglycemia, the excess of glucose binds to the protein in the bloodstream in a process called glycation. Glycated proteins are unable to utilize for tissue regeneration.
To illustrate this, examine at the connection between diabetics, and skin regeneration. A diabetic has chronically elevated blood sugar, which glycates proteins in the blood and leads to extremely slow wound healing. Following a leaky gut diet, as I discussed above, can greatly improve blood sugar balance, but not if you are consuming large quantities of fruit and snacking on grain-free baked goods all day. Focus on healthy fats, proteins, and veggies, and eat 3 square meals rather than grazing during the day. Also check out my post, 10 Ways to Balance Blood Sugar Naturally.
There's certain things that I agree about not, eating a whole bunch of times a day because you're putting your body through a lot of stress every time you eat. And if you're gonna create damage, you're gonna sit there, eat it, get what your body needs, and then let your body digest. Um, Healthy fats, I do agree with, like a handful of nuts, avocado, flaxseed, and the fats that are occurring naturally in certain veggies and fruits. But
You know,
yeah, I know, no, definitely. Foster beneficial gut flora. Number four. Remember the analogy of gut flora being the turf that protects the intestinal lining. The body requires an influx of healthy bacteria to regrow the turf. Just like when you're creating, how do you call that stuff when you put
compost.
compost? Yeah, so that the plants could really get the nutrients. It's the same thing inside your gut. You have the healthy guys help you absorb and digest. Both high quality probiotic supplements and fermented foods are usually necessary. I primarily recommend two brands of probiotic, which encourage long-term repopulation of the gut with friendly buds. Prescribed Assist probiotic and BioCult probiotic. Notice that they sell sells that. I mean, that's the thing with a lot of these like keto diets. Like the vegan diet, really, it's hard to sell because
you can't sell
fruit and vegetable unless, and you don't make a lot of money because a lot of that stuff just kind of goes bad if you don't eat right away.
Number 5, provide regular maintenance. If you read my Confessions as a Health Perfectionist post, you know that although my life changed drastically through nutrition, I do not identify myself as a poster child for perfect health. Healing leaky gut means allowing the gut to regenerate, so the intestinal lining is no longer permeable. This goal can be reached through the steps discussed above. However, maintaining a healthy gut in our modern lifestyle requires exactly that, maintenance.
I know that I'm prone to leaky gut, this person says, even though I carefully tailor my diet to my body's need. I've had some unavoidable stressful situation in the past few years that have compromised my gut. When that happens, I'll take 2 to 4 weeks to extensively rotate my diet and temporarily remove foods which I've reintroduced, such as eggs, sprouted nut butters, and nightshades. You know, I find that the raw vegan diet or eating, just even not even raw vegan, the 80-10-10, even in cooked foods where you stick to certain basic foods, rice, sweet potato, vegetables, fruits, and simple things that your body could easily digest and doesn't cause the strain and keeps your healthy gut flora balance, to me is the way to go. I didn't have any allergies before when back in 2000, whenever it was, 2010, 2011, and I ate plenty of fruits, which my body just cleaned itself out, you know. And one more article that we have left here: Asperger disorder success with coconut oil and diet. Person keeps texting. Yeah, that.
I know. I don't know if we want to open our phone lines up.
Because that's gonna.
Sorry, we just have had bad experiences lately. Voyeurism and people just saying stupid stuff. So we don't really open our phone lines up anymore. But if you do want to leave a comment, you're welcome to on our YouTube channel. And just be tasteful with it. We don't take anything personally, and we're not advocating transgenderism or any other, you know, social cause or anything like that. We're not on that bandwagon. We're happy if you're happy, and we'll just leave it at that.
I just try to do health issues and things of that nature. Anyway, on February 2007, we discovered one of our children had Asperger disorders. That's the person writing this article, a blessing in a way to answer many of the questions we had regarding our child's behavior. Asperger is an autism spectrum disorder. This discovery opened a door that is leading our daughter to wellness, a path that has improved the entire family's health.
Asperger's disorder is a form of autism. Her list of symptoms went on forever. Brain fog, lethargy, sinusitis, headaches, stomach aches, repetitive speech patterns, eyes darting, at times unresponsive, and hearing difficulties. She also had gross and fine motor skill difficulties. The worst, though, was the meltdowns. They were like emotional breakdowns that she clearly couldn't control and would occur at least every other day. In trying to establish what was causing her symptoms, we had removed all preservatives and hydrogenated oils. We updated the ducts in our air conditioning and threw out all of our non-stick cookware. In her bedroom was an air purifier, and we started drinking water free of chloride and chlorine. We avoided regular refined sugars and artificial coloring as well.
Beginning to scratch the surface of a healthier, cleaner life, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. We all started taking whole food supplements, which became a nutritional anchor for all of us. A few weeks after his last treatment, we found out our daughter's issue was explained by Asperger's disorder. What seemed to be blow off after blow really pushed us further towards a truly healing way of life. When I started researching ASD, it didn't take long before I learned of gluten and casein and their link to autism. I found the book Feast Without Yeast, Four Stages to Better Health by Dr. Bruce Seaman and Lori Kernblom, and learned more about yeast candida overpopulation.
I wanted to investigate how to naturally reduce and maintain the level of candida. Already pleased with our success with this dietary intervention, it was difficult to hope our daughter could get much better. I learned of coconut oil and its healing benefits, as well as its ability to restore balance in the gut by controlling candida.
With this new information, we added 3 to 5 tablespoons of coconut oil to our daughter's diet, which nearly killed me. Our dietary intervention program consists of gluten-free, casein-free, and yeast-free, along with avoiding limited refined carbs. Within a week, we noticed a new level of clarity. It seemed to clear away the rest of the cobwebs. Her speech improved rapidly, her vocabulary skyrocketed, and her physically painful symptoms became intimate and controllable. Her hearing is normal. She initiates conversation, and people are able to engage her in conversation as well. For the first time in her life, she was able to complete homework on her own and was an honor roll student throughout the school year.
Before, when she would read, her eyes would dart all over the page, clicking, picking up words that were at the bottom and inserting them where they didn't belong. It naturally wouldn't make any sense, so she would have to reread each sentence. After 2 pages, she was exhausted and confused. Dietary intervention, along with coconut oil, has given her a new life. Now she will read for hours if we let her.
And it's very interesting because I've heard a lot of good things with coconut oil. Is just 3 to 5 tablespoons a day. I found for me was too much. You
Right.
know, I totally just and there's I've also heard a lot of good things about nutrition and the Asperger syndrome, or autistic syndrome, and how it really helps. And you know, the whole, you know, uh, we use the word outburst and inability to cope, and just that all is very much so an Asperger thing.
And if we look at it, it may have its foundational beginnings
In the gut.
inside the gut. I
Yeah.
mean, and we're talking about like prenatal stuff, like moms out there, if you're pregnant and you're eating foods that you shouldn't be eating and things that can cause problems in your baby's development, I would really highly suggest that you look into that and understand that you're not just like eating for one person.
Mhm.
You're actually creating the healthy gut flora balance for the life of the child that you are going to have brought into this world. And it is on you to make sure that their gut flora and their balanced biome is able to be healthy from the beginning.
Right, and then even when the child's born, they're talking about. I saw a video the other day where children that cry and are not attended to, they're not held, they're not comforted, grow up to have anger issues and explosion issues and inability to cope issues because their needs were not met. They have learning disability. They have probably part of the Asperger spectrum. There's so much that as parents you're not taught and you don't learn. There's no manual, which they give you a license to drive a car, but anyone could have a kid. I think that people really need to learn the makings of of this little being that you're bringing to this earth and how to make them into a healthy adult.
And I think that's why the natives had it right, you know, here in the United States and in the West in general, this decolonization has happened with all kinds of areas of society, with gender, with religion, with how we raise children and everything. And decolonization is 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 something that is important because if you colonize something, if you take control of something and you make it into something else, it becomes dangerous, And the concept of decolonizing something means that you kind of break it open into its very, you know, um, it's the original state. I mean, these native people understood that the life of a child was so important that they wouldn't dare bring another life in unless that child got to the place in its development where it was able to stand on its own 2 feet by the age of 5 or 6 or 7.
They're emotionally well developed,
Yeah.
And they were given what they needed in order to thrive
Mhm.
in life, which now mother gives birth, 3 months later, she's back to work, the child's either with a grandparent if they're lucky, if not, they're put in some sort of daycare where their needs are not being met. And
right. They're being raised by a stranger, basically.
And basically that's what we're seeing in this day and age, all these weird disorders. That's what we're seeing. One out of, what's it, 3 kid now has some sort of Asperger autism syndrome. We're seeing all, the gender dysphoria things is going crazy. I mean, there's something, mainly really happening.
And it's on the rise. It's like, autism, how many children are going to be diagnosed with these disorders by the year 2024, I think it is. It's like half of all kids in the United States.
Yeah.
There's something happening.
And then all this computer and cell phones and smartphones and, just quick. The nervous system is not adapted to take on the information and to, first thing in the morning, wake up and have a cell phone in your face. We never had to do that.
I can't handle it.
Yeah. And that just, it really, notice what the mother was saying. The girl had breakdowns, all the time. Any little thing would create, it's like a tantrum, and the person can't handle the situation, and there's something. And hey, gut flora imbalance, excessive technical stuff, and just overall.
I mean, the Olympics are happening in South Korea right now, but that country is so like technologically connected that they're having some really major problems with their youth, and they have the most amount of these centers, like detox from technology centers and stuff like that, because I mean, it's like this whole virtual world and social media thing is just like totally taking over society, and people are basically losing their humanity over it.
It's a virus, literally. That's why they're intervening, because they're seeing, hey, this is a problem. We're in the United States, you get a new type of smartphone and everything is so technologically advanced that it's just destroying humanity altogether,
I mean, it's, where does it stop? That's the question, I mean, they say that by the year 2040 or something, that we're going to be reaching the age of, what is it, singularity, where artificial intelligence and human intelligence will connect and then surpass, the artificial intelligence will surpass it. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's ridiculous.
Well, guys, it looks like we're at the end of the hour and a half. Thank you so much, the team, for tuning in. And it's kind of wondering, but we have no, where they were putting the phone, or where these people are actually finding our number. And
I don't know, but it could be the same number that was bugging us last time.
Yeah, and we would love to be able to have interaction like that again, but unfortunately, the pranks are ruining it for everybody else, and we would love to, but it just takes away from what we're trying to do. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in again. We will be back here again next Tuesday, and happy Valentine's Day to all of you from the Cummings. And be healthy, because you only get one body, and
That's all we have.
that's all you got. If you don't take care of it, then we can't take care of you, and being sick is no fun. So we love you, but remember to always love yourselves too. Good night. Farewell. See you next week. Go.